Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to start from where I stopped. Today is a very important session because today we will focus on the supplement material. I will share my screen. Okay, now the supplement material starts with this objective, and that objective was added to the new syllabus. Now we will read the syllabus together. We will read the objective together. It states here, number 1, describe translocation as the movement of sucrose and amino acids in the phloem from the source to the sink. So we will start with translocation and defining what is it. And then those 2 points, 2 and 3, these are the 2 objectives that were added to the new syllabus, describing what is a source and what is the sink. Okay, sources are the parts of plants that release sucrose or amino acids, and sinks, these are the parts of the plants that use or store sucrose and amino acids. We will explain objective 2 today and objective 3. Explain why some parts of a plant may act as a source and the sink at different times. If you have your notes in front of you, they will really help you. Okay. Now, first, we want to revise what is translocation. Who will remind me what is translocation? A quick reminder, we have 2 transport tissues in the plant. We are still talking about plants. We have the xylem and we have the phloem. And we studied their structures last class and we compared them. And we also mentioned their functions. What does the xylem transport? Wake up with me. What does the xylem do? What are the functions of the xylem?
Transport of water and mineral ions.
Very good. Number 1, conduction, which is what you said, transport of water and mineral ions. And 2, also the xylem, the walls are very thick, so it provides
support.
Very good. It provides support. Good. And we will add something to conduction and we will add something to support as we move on. Now the phloem has another function. What are the functions? What is not R? What is the only function of the phloem? If the xylem carries water and ions, very good. The phloem What's the function? Translocation. And what is translocation? What does the phloem transport?
Sucrose and amino acids.
Very good. Now, this is the definition of translocation. What is translocation? Translocation is the transport of sucrose and amino acids by the phloem. Please focus with the keywords because you miss marks when you don't write the keywords. So translocation is the transport of sucrose, the amino acids by the phloem. Now there's a continuation. This is the continuation from the source to the sink. Now we want to know what is the source and what is the sink. And this definition, this is the definition that is copy and pasted from the syllabus. Look at the syllabus. Here they said, describe translocation as the movement of the sucrose and amino acids in the phloem from the source to the sink. So this is what you will write when you are asked to describe or define translocation. Transport or movement of sucrose and amino acids in the phloem from the source to the sink. All these words that I marked here are keywords. That's why you will find this definition alone out of 3 marks. Now, the problem is if you write something different, you don't get the grade. If you say that it is the transport of carbohydrates, they will not give you the grade because they specifically want sucrose. Why? Because glucose is not transported and starch is not transported. Glucose is very soluble in water and it is very reactive. So glucose is transported or converted immediately into sucrose. And in the transport, we always transport carbohydrates as sucrose. And when we store carbohydrates, we store it as what?
Starch.
Starch. That is why you cannot say it's the movement of carbohydrates, even though you think that the mistake is very innocent, but they will not accept it. So please pay attention to keywords. This is where you lose lots of marks. You don't write the keywords that they want. So again, translocation, this is supplement, so pay attention. Translocation is the movement or the transport of sucrose and amino acids, not carbohydrates, not sugars, sucrose and amino acids. Where? In the phloem, from the source to the sink. Now the question is, what is the source and what is the sink? Actually, it is easy because it speaks for itself. What do you think the source is? It's the source of
soil.
what? Excuse me?
The roots.
The roots, the source of what? No, answer my question. It's the source of what?
Sucrose and amino.
Very good. We have different parts of a plant. We have roots, we have stems, and we have leaves, and we have flowers. Okay, now the source from the name, it's obvious. The source is the part of the plant that produces or releases the sucrose and the amino acids. So what is the source? It is the part of the plant that releases sucrose or amino acids. Now, what do you think is the sink? The sink is the opposite of the source. The sink is that part of the plant that will use or store this sucrose or amino acids. Now, why do we give the parts of the plant different names? Because some parts of the plant may act as source and sink at different times of the year. Now, this is the part that we want to understand. Let me use a picture. Yes, very good. Now, this is a picture of a plant, a typical plant. In the summer, pay attention with me. In the summer, I have leaves. But in the winter or the spring, those leaves fall off. So in the winter or in the spring, sometimes they call it the growing season, there are no leaves. Okay, put this in mind. In the summer, I have lots of leaves. So who is photosynthesizing in the plant? The leaves or the roots? In the summer,
Leaf.
the leaves. Very good. So in the summer, the leaves are the source. In other words, the leaves are photosynthesizing and they are producing the sucrose and the amino acids. Yes, Ahmed, you have a question?
No, miss, by accident.
Okay,
I'm
my
sorry.
dear, pay attention, please, because this part is supplement and they love asking questions about the source and the sink. So again, I'm going to draw a nice plant here with my roots, and I'm going to use green color, and I'm going to draw my leaves, and I'm going to draw a flower, even though I don't need it for now. Okay, and I want to compare or understand what is the source and what is the sink. In order to understand these two terms, remember the seasons of the year. You have the summer, and you have the winter and the spring. In the summer, I have leaves. The leaves will do the photosynthesis, of course. So the leaves during the summer will be the source. They are the source of what? They are the source of sucrose, and they are the source of amino acids. Okay, we are still in the summer, when the leaves will do the photosynthesis and the leaves will produce the sucrose and the amino acids. This sucrose and amino acids, where will they be stored? They are made in the leaves, and then they will be stored where?
In the roots as the sinks.
Excellent. They will be stored in the roots. And in a lot of plants, they have organs in the roots that act as tubers or storage organs, like the potato. So they will be stored in the roots or the storage organs. Finished. Nice. Now let's look at the winter. Now let's erase that. Give me a second. Let's look at the winter. In the winter, I have a plant that looks like this. I have roots, okay, with maybe storage organs like a potato, and I have a stem, and I don't have leaves. No leaves. And that's the same case in the winter and the spring. The leaves, they fall off. So, do I have photosynthesis, or the photosynthesis is very little or no photosynthesis? Is photosynthesis happening in the winter?
No.
No. No photosynthesis. We will assume that there is no photosynthesis or very little photosynthesis. And for your information, not only do the leaves fall off, but in a lot of countries, there is no sun. Like in England, for example, they can go days without the sun. So some plants can go days or a whole season without photosynthesis. But even if they are not photosynthesizing, they are still alive. They still need energy. Now, where does this energy come from when they are not doing photosynthesis? What is the source of
The
energy?
roots.
What is
From the stored starch.
from the what, my dear?
The stored starch.
Correct. So the source in the winter, you have to always start with the season so that you understand. In the winter or the growing season, or in the spring, I have no leaves, no photosynthesis. So the source will not be the leaves because the leaves, they fell off. So what is the source of the sucrose and the amino acids? Just like you said, from the organs that stored starch, which include the roots and the storage organs. Good. Now the roots and the storage organs, they will release the sucrose and the amino acids. And where will they go? Where will they be used up? In the sink.
Leaf and other organs.
You are correct. You are thinking. You are trying to give me an answer. In the sink. Now, what is the sink when there is no leaf? The sink will be any growing part of the plant. Don't forget that the plant is alive and it can grow taller. Maybe there are no leaves, but it is still multiplying by mitosis. It is still growing. It has to stay alive. Okay? So that is why the source and the sink, they can change in different seasons of the year. Now, they always ask about this part because this is supplement. So let's focus a little bit on this part. We are talking about translocation. Translocation is the definition here. It's a nice definition with a lot of keywords. It is the movement or the transport, and this definition is directly copy-pasted from the syllabus. Please don't make up your own definitions. We copy and paste them from the syllabus. Translocation is the movement of, not carbohydrates. It is the movement of what? Remind me.
Sucrose and amino acids.
Excellent. Sucrose and amino acids. That's important. Let me mark them. Sucrose and amino acids from where to where?
From the sources to the sinks.
From the source to the sink. Actually, we forgot a point. It is the movement of the
flowing.
sucrose and the amino acids where in the
In the flowing.
excellent, in the flowing. Now, just forgetting this will make me lose a mark. And then you will be asked to elaborate. What is the source? What is the sink? Now, what is the definition of the source? Without even studying, the source of what?
Source of
Sucrose and
amino acids and sucrose.
Excellent. So the source is the part of the plant that will release or produce sucrose and amino acids. And what is the sink?
The part that is gonna use the sucrose and amino acids.
Excellent. The part that will use or store this sucrose and amino acids. And why am I using the word part? Why am I not specifying a particular organ in the plant? Because the source and the sink, yes, my dear, tell me.
because it changes based on the seasons.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Now, giving me this answer shows me that you understood, and this makes me very happy. Okay, excuse me. Let me get the notes directly because there's a very important table in the notes that we want to look out. In which notes? I think in year 10 notes. In year 10 notes, yes. This is the lesson. Which lesson is that? Transport and plants. Where is the table? This table. It's in your notes, so if it is in front of you, we want to read the table together because this table summarizes this objective. Okay, look here. I'm showing you how your notes are written. This is the syllabus, 1, 2, 3, because some of you ask me, what is this? This is the objective. The objective says describes translocation, and the description is right below it. Copy paste it from the mark scheme. Movement of sucrose and amino acids in the phloem from source to sink. This is a 2 or a 3 mark definition. And then objective 2, describe A, sources as the part of the plant that release sucrose or amino acids, and B, sinks as the part of the plant that use or store sucrose or amino acids. Objective 3, explain why some parts of the plant may act as a source and a sink at different times. Now, the answer to this objective is this table. Let's look at this table. We defined translocation here in black. Now, definition of source and sink. Let's read it together. If you understand it, then we're done. The source, parts of the plant that release sucrose and amino acid. Sink, part of the plant that use or store sucrose or amino acid. Now, in the summer, the leaves are the source because I have leaves. Now, in the summer, what is the sink? Very good. If the sucrose and the amino acids are produced in the leaves, where will they be stored or used up? In the storage organs. And give examples. In the roots, in the fruits, in the vegetable, in the seeds, anything that will store the sucrose and the amino acids. In the growing parts of the plant, example, growing shoot, growing root tip, or young leaves. This example, you'll find it in paper 4. Now, going to the winter and the spring, you'll find these 2 columns exactly the same because the winter and the spring or the growing season, they are exactly the same. Put in mind that in the winter or the spring, I have no leaves. So the source cannot be the leaves. What will be the source? The opposite. It will be the It will be the what? Wake up with me. It will be the what?
Storage organs.
Yes, the storage organs. In the winter, I don't have leaves, so there is no photosynthesis, and most of the time there is no sun. But I'm still alive, and I still need to grow. So where do I get my energy? Where do I get my sucrose and my amino acids? From the organs that I stored in the summer. Again, the same thing. The storage organs, the same roots, the same fruits, the same vegetables, the same seeds. The reason why? Because I don't have leaves in the winter. Okay? And then when I get them from these storage organs, what is my sink? I will use them where? To grow. The plant is not dead. Yes, it has no leaves, and it is not photosynthesizing, but it is not dead. It is still growing. So the sink in the winter will be the growing plant parts. Give examples. They love examples. Example, a growing shoot, a growing root, a growing tip, a growing leaf that is just starting to grow at the end of the winter season and at the beginning of the summer season. Okay? Now, in case you're confused, the shoot is the stem and the root is the part that is inside the soil. Now, the spring, you'll find that the spring is exactly the same as the winter. The source will be any storage organ. And in the growing season or the spring, just before the summer, these storage organs are very active. They're more active to supply the growing plant parts for growth. Again, the same storage organs, you will notice they are exactly the same. The roots, fruits, vegetables, seeds. Reason, because the leaves, they fell off in the spring or they fall off in the spring. And the sink will be where I will use the sucrose and the amino acids. They're exactly the same. Growing plant parts. Example, a growing shoot, a growing root, a tip, or young leaves. Now, I have a question. Is this table 100% understood? Source and sink, and why we have different sources and sinks at different times of the year? Or anyone has any questions? Who wants me to repeat anything before I move on? Hello? Any questions? Okay, no one is asking, so I assume that everything is clear. So this was one supplement objective that we finished. This was a very important one. I hope it's clear. Fine. We did talk about the location of the xylem and the phloem. Now, what do I want to talk about? And we talked about the structure of the xylem and the phloem last time. I'm not going to repeat it now. I want to talk about transpiration. No, so I don't skip anything. Let's talk about the root structure. The root structure, or the anatomy of the root, or what is the root made up of? The root is made up of a root cap, the tip of the root, okay? And the function of the root cap is for protection. And as you go up the root, you have an outer layer called epidermis, and you have here a group of cells that are highly dividing cells. We will not use this in the O-level. We'll study this in year 11. And the xylem is in the center. They can give you a picture like this and tell you label the xylem. The xylem is in the center of the root. Okay, the vascular bundle is all this is the vascular bundle, and the xylem is in the center of the center. And these are the root hair cells. I don't think we have any problems with that. Okay, now movement of the water inside the root. This part also is very important. And I want you to notice the movement of the water molecules, because you will be asked the question to describe the pathway of the movement of water from the soil to the xylem. You have to imagine with me the previous slide. You have the root. This is the root, okay? And the xylem is in the center. And you have a root hair cell here. And you have the water molecules outside. Now, this is a nice essay question out of 3 marks. Discuss the pathway of water from the soil to the xylem. Why is it out of 3 marks? Can you please start and give me the journey of the water step by step? The water is outside here. These are the water molecules. How will the water be taken into the root hair cell?
By osmosis.
Osmosis.
Excellent. Excellent. Osmosis will give you a mark. So number 1, you will say that the water will move by osmosis. Of course, don't forget to mention what you have to mention anytime you write osmosis. Down a concentration gradient, across a what?
Semi-permeable membrane.
Very good. Semi-permeable membrane. This will give you a mark. Okay? And it will be absorbed by which type of cell?
Root hair cell.
Good. Root hair cell. This can give you a second mark. Now, the water will have to move through this path here, through a group of cells. Now, this part is new. Before it reaches the central xylem. These group of cells are called the cortex cells. They are traditional plant cells. Now, my picture is gone. Where is this picture again? Yeah, it's there. These group of cells here are called the cortex cells. the water will move along the cortex cells until they reach the central xylem. Now, there's a very important keyword that you have to mention, especially in the O level, in year 10. Maybe it was not important in year 9. How does the water move up the xylem? This is what we will take next.
Respiration.
and adhesion.
Transpiration.
Cohesion
No,
and
not
adhesion.
respiration. What did you say? Respiration, or what did you hear? I did not hear you.
Transpiration.
Transpiration. Excellent. Transpiration. Very good. It will move up the xylem by transpiration. Now, I want you to understand something very important. Look at the water molecules. Water molecules will be absorbed by the root hair cell. Water will move by osmosis down a concentration gradient across a semi-permeable membrane. I want to remind you with the structure of the xylem. The xylem is made up of hollow cells on top of each other. Okay? With a very thick wall here. This is not our problem. We are looking at the movement of water. Water is going to move up the xylem in an unobstructive hollow tube. I want to ask you a very important question. This water, as it is moving upwards, does it cross any cell membranes?
No.
No. No, it doesn't. The xylem is an empty tube. Then how does the water move up the xylem?
Cohesion and adhesion.
Yes. I don't know where you heard it before, but yes. The water moves up the xylem by transpiration. And transpiration is maintained by adhesion and cohesion. We will explain it in a minute. Be patient. Never, ever say that the water moves up the xylem by osmosis. Okay? Don't ever say that. Then when do we mention osmosis, my dears? We mention osmosis when there is a cell membrane involved. When the water crosses any living cell membrane, then it is osmosis. Let me draw a picture again. Okay, this is my root, and the xylem is in the center. I have here a root hair cell. Of course, it is much smaller. I'm drawing it magnified so you can see. The water is here in the soil. The water will cross the cell wall and cell membrane to enter the root hair cell. As long as the cell membrane is involved, then here we will mention that the water will move inside the root hair cell by what? What is the process?
Osmosis.
Osmosis. Excellent. So that is why I have to mention osmosis here. And then I have cortex cells here, traditional plant cells. Again, the water will move through the cortex cells and move through the cell membrane of those cortex cells. So here, the water is still moving by which process?
Osmosis.
Correct. I hope you all understand. Now, once the water is inside the xylem, the water is here. These yellow stars are the water molecule, and the water will go up this hollow tube. Does the water meet any cell membranes?
No.
No, this question is for everyone. I hope you all understand. Here, there is no cell membrane. So the water, as it moves up the xylem, okay, it is moving not by osmosis, it is moving by transpiration. Transpiration is a pull. It's a water pull. Water is pulled up the xylem. And we said that the water always moves in one direction, from the soil to the leaves. Why? We will explain in a minute. Just give me a minute and you will understand why the water always moves from down to up, down to up. Okay? I hope it's clear. When it's understood, everything is very nice and easy. So going back to our question, how does the water enter the root hair cell to reach the xylem? So we are in this part. We are describing this part. He will mention that the water will enter by osmosis, down a concentration gradient, cross a semi-permeable membrane. This will give you 1 mark. And then it will cross the, what are these cells? The cells in between the outer epidermis and the central xylem. What are these cells?
Cortex.
Cortex. And still, it is still moving by the osmosis. See, these are the water molecules. You see them moving? And then they will reach the central xylem. And then they move up, as you can see. Who will pull them up the Xylem. By
Transpiration.
transpiration. And transpiration is another story that we will discuss in a minute. So this question, you will mention osmosis, root hair cells, it will cross the cortex and then reach the central xylem. And then in the xylem, it will not move by osmosis, it will move by transpiration. Very nice. Now, what is transpiration? Now, please, you have lots of pictures in your notes. Please read the labels. These labels are very important, okay? Okay. Now, what is transpiration? Yes, Ahmed, my dear, you have a question? Okay, now this question here, very important. I wrote it here in your notes. I think this is year 9 notes. In this lesson, year 9 and year 10 notes, both of them are important. Anything in red, this means it's a keyword. Osmosis down a concentration gradient from the root to the, from the soil to the root hair cells through a semi-permeable membrane. See, it's in red. Root hair cells, cortex, and then the xylem, and then it will go up, 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 only up. By the transpiration pull. And then we will discuss diffusion in a minute. Just be patient. Good. If you have any questions, please stop me. Now we will talk about transpiration. Which picture do I want? Yes. Let me use this picture. Look at this nice picture. Here the water is moving up the xylem, up the xylem, up the xylem. And for your information, the walls of the xylem are insoluble in water. The lignin and the cellulose that makes up the walls of the xylem are insoluble in water. The xylem has small holes here, these pits that are found at the sides of the xylem. They allow for the lateral movement of water. Okay, I want you to notice the movement of the water. Water is in the liquid state. It is moving up the xylem by transpiration. It's being pulled up, okay? Now, the question is, why it is pulled up? Why is it going up this direction? Let's look at this picture. When the water reaches the leaves, it will evaporate. This means that the water concentration at the top of the plant or the water potential at the leaves is of low water potential. If I want to simplify matters, I have less water at the top of the plants. I have less water pressure at the leaves. Why? Because the water is evaporating. Now, what about the soil? In the soil, I have lots of water. So in the soil, I have high water potential. This is the sign for water potential, by the way. In the soil, I have high water pressure. In other words, and in very simple English, in the soil, I have so much water. So if I want to draw a simple plant, just like this one, that is showing you that the water is moving up the xylem. See, this is a very nice picture. This is the root hair cell. This is the root hair cell. The water is moving in by osmosis. It will move through the cortex cells, and then it will be pulled up the xylem by transpiration, and then it will evaporate. It will be pulled up the xylem by transpiration, and then it will evaporate. So at the top of the plant, I have more water or less water?
Less.
Yes, very good. So at the top of the plant, I have less water. If you want to write it in a professional manner, and this is how I advise you, I have less water potential, which is the same as less water. I have less water pressure. Pay attention to that. Now in the soil, it's the opposite. I have more water potential. I have more water gradient. I have more water pressure. Now, what does this create? This creates a pressure difference. I have high water pressure in the soil, and I have low water pressure at the leaves. And this will result in the pulling of water from high pressure, which is the soil, to low pressure in the leaves. That is why the water moves up the xylem. And if you want a very nice professional term, This is known as changes in hydrostatic pressure. Hydrostatic pressure. Hydrostatic means water pressure, but you can simply write due to changes in water pressure. I have high water pressure in the soil and low water pressure at the leaves, because at the leaves the water is evaporating. It is being lost. It goes out to the atmosphere. And this change in water pressure will pull the water from the soil to the leaves, creating a transpiration stream or a transpiration pull. Is this clear? Is this clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
Good. Now, this is one of the reasons why the water will move up the xylem. Pay attention, please, because this part is supplement. They only ask about the supplement in paper 4. This is the answer to the question, how does the water move up the xylem? Or why does the water move in only one direction? This is the answer to the question. This is the first part to this question. That the water will move up because I have lots of water pressure in the soil, high water pressure, and low water pressure at the leaves because it is evaporating. And this change in water pressure will create a pressure difference, a pressure gradient, and water will move from high pressure, which is the soil, to low pressure, which is at the leaves. You can write it in your own words. You just need to understand it. Now, the second reason, okay, see the water is moving up, 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 up from high water pressure in the soil to low water pressure in the leaves. This is reason number 1. Now, reason number 2 is that water molecules, see, this is a water molecule, and this is another water molecule. Water molecules attract each other by a force called cohesion. If you take physics, you will know that cohesion, these are the forces of attraction between similar molecules. Water pulls the water below it. So every water molecule will pull the water molecule below it. And again, this helps the movement of the water up the xylem to create the transpiration stream. And this is the second reason. Okay? Adhesion is not mentioned in your syllabus, but I'm going to explain it because you will see it in pictures. This is the attraction between the water molecules and the inner lining of the xylem, the cellulose inside the xylem. So the water is attracting the water molecule below it. When water molecules attract each other, this is called cohesion. And the water molecules are also being attracted to the xylem, and this is called adhesion. And the cohesion and the adhesion forces are the second reason why the water always moves up the xylem to create the transpiration pull or the transpiration stream. Okay, I'll repeat. Let me use pictures. Okay, look at objective number 5. This is the objective that we are explaining. Explain the mechanism by which water moves upwards in the xylem in terms of a transpiration pull that draws up a column of water molecules held together by forces of attraction between water molecules. Here they mean cohesion. Again, let's look at the same picture, this picture. Let me erase the... So we are now discussing 2 objectives, or one important objective, which is why does the water move up the xylem? Or how is the water moving up the xylem? So we're talking about transpiration. This transpiration pull, which is the movement of the water up the xylem. Why does the water move up the xylem? For 2 reasons. Can someone summarize the reasons for me? Reason number 1 is what?
Different water pressure.
Excellent. Simply speaking, you simply said it in 1 sentence. Reason number 1, due to the differences in hydrostatic pressure or water pressure. Now, please elaborate. because biology likes discussion. You will simply write in 2 sentences. At the top of the plant, I have low water pressure or high water pressure?
Low.
Exactly. I have low water pressure. Can you tell me why?
Due to water vapor loss.
Evaporation.
Exactly. Because of evaporation, due to water vapor loss. Excellent. Due to evaporation. So I have less water up there. And in the soil, I have high water pressure or low water pressure?
High.
High, correct. I have lots of water in the soil. Now this will create a pressure difference. And this will make water move from high pressure to low pressure. Finished. This is the reason number 1. Reason number 2, water molecules, what do they do to each other?
Attract each other by cohesion forces.
Excellent, finished. Water molecules attract each other by cohesion forces so that every water molecule will pull the water molecule below it, creating a transpiration pull, a transpiration stream. Water will move up the xylem in a capillary form. They like these terms, okay? You will find them all in your notes. Transpiration stream, transpiration pull. This is called capillary action. Capillary means they are behind each other, like as if the water molecules are moving in one straight line. Why? Because the water molecules are attracting each other by cohesive forces. Very good. This is an important objective also that we just covered. Now, after the water reaches the leaves, what happens to the water? Look at this part.
Evaporate.
It will evaporate. Now pay attention again. This part is advanced. So pay attention. This lesson is exactly the same with the same terms, with the same material in AS biology. So I don't know why they put it in the O level, but it's there. Yes, my dear.
The water absorbed from the soil, is it the same?
It's what? I can't hear you.
The water absorbed from the soil,
Yes.
is it used for photosynthesis?
Yes, it is. We still did not talk about the uses of water. I'm talking now about the movement, how the water moves. I want you to understand that the water moves in 3 parts. It moves in the roots by osmosis. It moves in the xylem by the transpiration pull or the transpiration stream. Never, please never say that the water moves inside the xylem by osmosis. I think I explained why. Because in the xylem, the water does not meet any cell membranes. It is moving up a hollow tube. It is moving in a stream, in a transpiration pull. Why? Due to the 2 reasons that we mentioned. Because of the changes in water pressure and because of cohesion and adhesion forces. Okay? Now the water is in the leaves. This is the final step. At the leaves, the water will change from liquid to gas and it will evaporate. Now let's see how this happens. And they can ask you a question about the roots, about the water pathway in the roots, and they can ask you a separate question about the movement of water in the xylem, and they can ask you a separate question about the movement of water in the leaves. This is the last step. This is where we are now. So please pay attention. The water will be absorbed by the root hair cells by osmosis, crossing a cell permeable membrane. It will move up the xylem by transpiration. See? Okay? And then, so now the water will move out of the xylem and go to the spongy mesophyll cells. These are the spongy mesophyll cells. Now pay attention. Water will be on the surface of the spongy mesophyll cells. Water, when it is on the surface of the spongy mesophyll cells, it is in the liquid state. Water will evaporate from the surface of the spongy mesophyll cells into the surrounding air spaces. When water evaporates, it will change from liquid form into gas form, because this is evaporation. Evaporation of any liquid is the change of the liquid from liquid state to gas state. And this is exactly what happens to the water. Water is on the surface of the spongy mesophyll cells. Water will evaporate. Evaporating means that the water will change from liquid state into vapor. It's now a gas. The water drops or the water vapor will be in the air spaces here, and then the water vapor will move out of the stomata. When the water moved out of the stomata, it was in a gas state. That is why the movement of the water vapor out the open stomata is called diffusion. So I hope you realize that we used osmosis in the roots. We did not use osmosis at all in the xylem. And in the leaves, we used diffusion. So we used 3 different terms. If you don't understand it, you will get very, very, very confused. Again, let me explain it again. I'm going to draw my leaf structure. I have the upper epidermis up here and the waxy layer. This is not our problem now. I have the palisade mesophyll, the tall columnar cells that do photosynthesis. I have, what am I drawing here? The spongy, wake up with me, please. The what? These irregular cells that are
Spongy
spaced out.
mesophyll.
Spongy
Yes,
mesophyll.
the spongy mesophyll. If you understand the lesson, you don't even need to study it. So pay attention. And then you have a lower epidermal layer here, and you have guard cells, and you have stomata. Okay? Now, the xylem will bring the water. And now we understand how the water will move up the xylem by the transpiration pull due to differences in water pressure and due to cohesion forces. Now the water will reach the leaf. After it reaches the leaf, this is the water, okay? Let's say these white molecules are the water. The water is on the surface of the spongy mesophyll cells. This water is in the liquid state. The water will, 1, evaporate. In physics, evaporation is the conversion of liquid to what? To which form?
Gas.
Gas.
To gas. Very good. So I'm going to change color. Let me use, for example, blue. So first, the water molecules will evaporate from the surface of the mesophyll cells to form water vapor. And they will fill the air spaces. Do they remain inside the air spaces or they go out of the stomata?
Go out.
Very good. They move out of the stomata. They move out in vapor form. They move out in gas form. That is why we will say that the water vapor will move out of the stomata by,
Diffusion.
thank you so much, by diffusion. Okay? That is why the definition of transpiration. Where is the definition? I'll get you the definition. Copy pasted from the mark scheme because we have to understand the transpiration. Where is it? One minute, I'll get you the definition that they want exactly so we understand the definition. Where is transpiration? Now these are the notes here. You'll find the definition in both year 9 notes and year 10 notes. Okay. Look, this is the definition of transpiration, and you have to write it exactly as it is. Please do not improvise or make up your own definition. Look at the definition. Transpiration is the evaporation of water at the surface of the mesophyll cells into the air spaces. Evaporation means it will change from liquid to gas, followed by what? Diffusion of water vapor through the what? Through the stomata. This definition is out of 3 marks. You will not memorize it without understanding it. Again, what is the definition of transpiration? We have to start by defining transpiration as the evaporation of water from the surface. Water, you can write liquid water if you want to be very clear, or water molecules. The evaporation of water at the surface of the mesophyll cells into the air spaces, followed by the diffusion of the water vapor through the stomata. While you are studying this definition, you have to have this picture in front of you. Where is the picture? This picture. It's also in your notes right there. Look, this is the xylem. The xylem will bring the water to the leaf. Now the water will reach the leaf. The water is here. It's at the surface of the mesophyll cell. This is the mesophyll cell in the leaf. Okay? What happens? Read. Evaporation of water due to heat energy. Forget this for now. First, we start by the evaporation. So the definition of transpiration, it is the evaporation of water from the surface of the mesophyll cells. When it evaporates, where will it go? It will suspend where? What is this? It will evaporate from the surface of the mesophyll cells into the what is this?
Airspace.
Airspace.
Yes, into the air spaces. So first step, it will evaporate. Evaporation of the water molecules from the surface of the mesophyll cells into the air spaces. And then it will go out of the stomata. How does it go out of the stomata? Water vapor.
Diffusion.
Exactly.
Diffusion.
Why did I use the word diffuse here? Because now it is in
Because
which
it's
state?
Gas.
Thank you very much. Because now it's a gas. I hope you understand the definition. Now let's look at this picture. This picture, please look at the labels while you're studying. You have the water molecule. Water molecule means it is liquid. The water is moving up the xylem. It is moving up due to changes in pressure and because of cohesion. Cohesion between the water molecules helps create tension, enabling water to be pulled upwards. Cohesion tension theory. This is a little bit too advanced. The word cohesion is important. You don't have to write the cohesion tension theory. Okay? The adhesion is attraction between the water and the cellulose or the walls of the xylem. These two things help the water to be pulled up together with the changes in pressure. Here are the xylem vessels with lignified walls and cellulose. The water, it is showing you the arrows. Look at the arrows. The water here will move from cell to cell. We are still in the liquid state, and as long as cell membranes are involved, still here, osmosis, 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 osmosis. The water here will be on the surface of the spongy mesophyll cells. It will evaporate. It will turn into a gas, into the air spaces, and then it will go out of the stomata by diffusion. And don't forget, water is drawn up in the transpiration stream. They like the word transpiration stream or transpiration pool. Who does not understand what I just said? Okay. Let's go back to your notes because again, this is supplement and it is very important. Objective 3, relate the structure of the xylem to their function. We said this in the last online. Limited to thick walls with lignin, we said that. Details of lignification are not required. B, no cell contents. Cells are joined end to end with no end walls or no cross walls to form a long continuous tube. This is going to be found in the table comparing the xylem and the phloem. So objective 3 is finished. And then 8.2, water uptake. You will find this in year 9 notes because there is no supplement material, which is the osmosis and down concentration gradient part. Transpiration. Transpiration is purely supplement. That is why it is very important. Transpiration definition and how it happens. Let's read it together. Water travels up the xylem from the roots into the leaves to replace the water that has been lost due to transpiration. Definition. The definition is important. I'll read it again. And please make sure that when you define it, you include all the keywords and you understand it. If you have the notes in front of you, mark the keywords, please. It is, what is transpiration? Evaporation of water molecules from the surface of the mesophyll cells into the air spaces. It does not finish here. And then this will be followed by diffusion of water vapor through the stomata. This definition is at least 3 marks. And if they are not very nice, and they are not very nice actually, they will ask you to elaborate. How does the water move up the transpiration? Mechanism by which the water moves up the xylem. Look at objective 5. Explain the mechanism by which water moves up the xylem in terms of transpiration pull that draws up a column of water molecules held together by forces of attraction between water molecules. Now, the 2 reasons why the water moves up the xylem. 1, due to pressure difference. 2, due to forces of cohesion. And here it is explained. Pressure differences between water in the soil and at the leaves. Water is lost at the leaves. because of transpiration. So the pressure of water at the top of the leaf is reduced, and the pressure of the water at the bottom is high. Simple and clear. You don't need to use any complicated terms. This will create a pressure difference. Please, when you see the word in bold, then this is a keyword. The reason why you lost many marks in your exam is you don't write the keywords. Or suction force, or tension, pulling. You have to write the word pulling. Pressure difference. This will pull the water up the xylem and create a transpiration stream from the roots to the top of the plant through the xylem vessels to replace the water lost. NB xylem are strong, and this will help them resist collapse. This is another function of the xylem. I hope point 1 is clear. Point 2, forces of cohesion. The water molecules are held together by cohesion forces, and this helps water to pull water molecules below it. Each individual water molecule pulls on the one below it. As long as pull is in red, then it's important. This makes water move up the xylem. Both mechanisms, in other words, point 1 and point 2, create a continuous column of water up the xylem, or the transpiration stream. Please add these two keywords, column of water and transpiration stream. You will find it in the mark scheme. Now, if the rate of transpiration increases, then more water molecules will be pulled up. Of course, this is logic. And you have a nice picture here. Pictures are there to help you understand. They're not there to waste space. Cohesion are the forces of attraction between similar water molecules, and adhesion is the force of attraction between the water and the walls of the xylem. And this is transpiration here, evaporation of the water vapor from the stomata. Stomata is either found on the underside of the leaf or on both sides, depending on the type of the leaf. Any questions in what we said? I don't want you to memorize. Memorization comes next. I want you to understand what is said. I'm reading with you word by word. Any questions? Does anyone want me to repeat anything?
No, it's just a question.
Ask, my dear.
If the pressure, the hydrostatic pressure difference increase between the soil and the pressure in the leaves,
Yeah,
will the rate of transpiration increase?
of course.
Okay.
And this is exactly what we will talk about next, and then I'll hopefully let you go, which is what causes the rate of transpiration to increase. Okay? If you have a very windy day, I love your question, by the way. If it's very windy and so much water vapor is evaporating, how will this affect transpiration, do you think? This is going to create a bigger pressure difference, and this will increase the rate of transpiration or reduce it?
Increase.
Excellent. Okay, very nice. Now, when you understand things, everything falls into place. Now, the water, it's like a journey. Water travels in the roots by osmosis, up the xylem by the two mechanisms, by or due to changes in water pressure and due to cohesion and adhesion forces, and then out of the leaf by transpiration or diffusion through the stomata. I don't know why did they include all this in O level, but it's important because there are a lot of questions over this part. Now, transpiration has several functions in plants. One of you was talking to me about the importance of water or the importance of transpiration. You will realize that we took this before because the importance of transpiration is the same as the importance of water in plants. Why plants cannot survive without water? Now let's read it together and you will realize that you heard this before. Transpiration is important because it provides water to the plant, and water is needed for the transport of mineral ions, sucrose and amino acids. Water is important to keep the plant cells turgid. Water is important for photosynthesis, like your friend said. Water is important for all the chemical reactions. Water is important to cool down the plant because the plant, especially in the desert, needs to have a constant temperature or the enzymes inside the plant will denature. Exactly the same idea. When you sweat, the body temperature stays constant. The same idea. Plants transpire, it's as if they are sweating, so they cool down, so that their enzymes do not denature. Okay? Now, What do you think will happen to the rate of transpiration if you have so many air spaces and so many stomata?
Increase.
Exactly. Why does the transpiration increase? Because what
More loss of
increases with
water.
so many air spaces and so much
More,
stomata?
more loss of
There's
water.
more loss of water. Yes, we agree. But they want a keyword here. The more the air spaces, let me
More
just
gas
provide it.
exchange.
You are correct, also more gas exchange. Again, they are looking for a keyword. When you have many stomata and you have many air spaces,
The
this
water
increases.
absorbed in the stomata to curve out.
Yes, you are correct. Again, there's a keyword that I'm looking for. Does this
Surface
provide
area?
more surface area or less surface area?
More.
More surface area. Okay. So when you have lots of air spaces and lots of stomata, this provides lots of surface area. Okay. Look here at objective 4. When you see a number, then realize that this is objective coming from the syllabus. Explain how water vapor loss is related to the large internal surface area provided by the interconnecting air spaces between mesophyll cells and the size and the number of the stomata. So this simply tells you that if you have more stomata, if you have bigger stomata, if you have so many air spaces, this will increase transpiration, as we all agree, because this is going to increase surface area. So evaporation takes place from the surface of the spongy mesophyll cells. I hope this sentence is understood. You have to make sure you understand every sentence. And if there is something that you do not understand, you have to ask. The air spaces between the spongy mesophyll cells and the stomata create a large surface area. This means that evaporation happens rapidly when stomata are open. Not only when they are open, you can add that. When I have more stomata, when they are more in number, when they are big in size, and when there are more air spaces. All this increases the surface area, increasing the rate of respiration. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to explain, and I promise I'll let you go. Objective 6, explain the effects on the rate of transpiration varying the following factors: temperature, wind speed, and humidity. Okay? Now, logic, you don't even need to read. When there is more temperature, this will lead to more evaporation of water, more transpiration, or less transpiration?
More.
More transpiration.
More. Can you tell me why? Because when the
Because more
molecules have high
water
temperature, they
is
have more what?
Kinetic energy.
Correct. Because don't forget that transpiration is the diffusion of the water vapor out of the stomata. When the water vapor have more kinetic energy, they will move faster and diffuse faster. So always a hot day. Now, how is this related? When they give you a question in paper 4 or paper 6 and they tell you it's a very hot day, the moment you see the word hot, this means that the temperature is high and there is high transpiration. Now, when it is very windy, more water vapor will evaporate or less? More transpiration or less transpiration?
more.
More. Why? Because you have a great concentration gradient. Now let me explain this part. Look here. Okay, if I have a leaf, and these are the stomata here, and it's a very windy day, I have so much wind. Every time water evaporates, it is carried away. Every time water evaporates, it is carried away. This is going to increase transpiration. We all agree. But the question is, why does it increase transpiration? Because this is going to create a high concentration gradient. What does a high concentration gradient means? It means a high concentration difference. In other words, I am going to have so much water inside the leaf, and because the water is always or quickly carried away, I will have lots of water inside the leaf, and I will have very little water outside the leaf. So there will be high concentration of water inside and low concentration of water outside. And this is going to make the diffusion of the water faster from high concentration inside the leaf to low concentration outside the leaf, increasing the rate of transpiration. So when you have a windy day, this is going to increase the rate of transpiration. Why? Because it's going to maintain means keep high, or it's going to increase the concentration gradient. If this sentence is confusing you, you can simply say that if you have a windy day, any water that evaporates will be carried away by the wind. So the situation will always remain the same. I will always have lots of water inside the leaf and very little water outside the leaf. And this is going to be clear in the question if they say that the day is very windy or it is very dry. A dry day, a windy day. This will give you an idea that the water outside the leaf is very little because it is being carried away. And this is going to increase the rate of transpiration because it's going to maintain a concentration gradient. In other words, keep the water differences high. So much water inside the leaf and very little water outside the leaf. Is this part clear? On a windy day, there will be lots of transpiration. Why? Because the water is carried away. So there will always be lots of water inside and very little water outside. Is this clear? Any questions?
No.
No. Okay. Now, what about a humid day? What is humid? Humidity.
Water vapor.
Very good. Humid means the air holds lots of water droplets. You know, in the North Coast, when the air is very humid because you are very close to the seashore and you go and sit in the garden at night and you find all the chairs and the tables, they are all wet because the air is very humid. Now, when you have water inside the leaf, you have lots of water inside the leaf, and you also have lots of water in the air because it is very humid. Will this encourage transpiration or not?
No.
No.
No. Why? Because the concentration difference is very low. In other words, if I have 90% of water inside the leaf and I have 90% of water outside the leaf, the difference between them is only 5%. Will this increase or decrease the rate of transpiration?
Decrease.
Very good. So actually, humidity is the only factor that is inversely proportional with transpiration. So the higher the humidity, the less the what? Transpiration.
Transpiration.
Very good. We're finished. Going back to, no, there is one last point. When there is too much light, when it is very, very sunny, it's hot and it's dry and it's sunny, do you think transpiration will be faster or slower?
Faster.
Faster. Why? Because when it is very sunny,
Sunlight will evaporate water.
this is not the correct answer because sunlight means I have so much photosynthesis and the guard cells will absorb lots of water and they will be turgid and they will be wide open. This is the reason why an increase in light intensity causes transpiration because the stomata will be wide open because the stomata, the guard cells surrounding the stomata, they will photosynthesize and they will be turgid. So this is going to cause more transpiration. Let's read this part because this part is more than important. This is objective 6 and we will leave objective 7 for tomorrow, okay? So let's read this together. Temperature. When the temperature increases, the transpiration will increase. Explanation. Why? Because The moment you see the word temperature, you always have to write kinetic energy because molecules will have more kinetic energy, so they will diffuse faster. Finished. Any problems? Temperature clear? Any questions about temperature and transpiration? No. Humidity. When it is very humid, when the air around the leaf holds lots of water droplets, this will increase or decrease transpiration.
Decrease.
Good. Why? Because it will reduce the concentration gradient. This is written in bold. So this is a keyword. So don't write everything and leave the keywords, okay? Because there will be lots of water inside the plant and lots of water outside the plant, and the difference in water concentration would be very low, so this will decrease transpiration. When it is very windy, this will increase transpiration or reduce it?
Increase it.
Increase. Why? Because this is going to increase the concentration gradient, because it's going to keep the concentration gradient very high. I hope it's clear. Or if you don't want to write that, you can say that the wind will carry the water vapor away. So I will have lots of water inside the leaf and very little water outside the leaf. So the water will keep on diffusing out. Light. When it's very sunny, this is going to increase transpiration or reduce it, and why?
Increase it due to the rigidity of the stomata.
Very good. The guard cells, the stomata are open. And when there is water, okay, the transpiration will decrease. Why? Because when there is little water, the plant will close its stomata to reduce water loss. Now, this is an adaptation that we'll talk about in Objective 7. Or we will talk about the methods plants use to reduce water loss in very dry conditions. And again, you already have a good idea about it because we took it in the lesson adaptations. Okay, when it's very dry and the plant is in the desert and the water supply is very little, will the plant transpire or will it try to hold on to the water it has?
Hold on.
Exactly. Okay, so these 4 points are very important. Now, today's lesson was very important, by the way. Maybe it is the most important online lesson because we understood a lot of factors. We understood how the water moves inside the roots and how the water moves up the xylem and the definition of transpiration. And we explained the definition in detail and the factors that affect transpiration and the importance of transpiration. We talked about all this today. Who wants me to repeat something? Is everything said clear?
Yes.
Okay. I think I said this today. Xylem, they have small pits here because the xylem is insoluble in water. They have holes here called pits, which helps in the lateral movement of water. That's it. If you have any questions, ask me. Okay, tomorrow get paper 2 with the mark scheme. This is very important. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.